Hello everyone and welcome to another rockpooling vlog. This is an unbelievably super low tide. If you've ever watched my vlogs where I've been rockpooling before at Arbroath, we usually follow this concrete pipe out here to get to low shore as quickly as possible. But for the first time ever, I'm seeing that the concrete pipe ends and look how much shore we have to explore. I have never ever been this low at Arbroath at low tide. It is one of the lowest tides of the year. It is one of the best conditions. There's hardly a breeze. It's letting the tide go out, and today we are going to be exploring it. This rock pooling vlog is also going to be split up, so each day this week I'm going to be doing lower shore, middle shore and upper shore, and every day I'm just going to release a rock pooling vlog and I'll premiere it, so I'll be there to discuss and chat with you as you watch it, exactly any questions that you have, because I want to show you the differences between the zones of the shore and what you can find at different places, and just draw a particular interest today to the lower shore because I think it's just going to be fantastic, given that this is a once a year, maybe not even that because the weather is so unbelievably great. You know, this is once in a blue moon low tide experience. So I'm going to stop talking to you now and let's just go explore together, shall we? Because it's so exciting. I managed to spot this little decorated crab in all of this kelp, I don't know, but what a fantastic little surprise. So of course lower shore is the haven for kelp beds. You will only really find kelp beds at the lower shore. This is a small one, there are much bigger ones and they are amazing. Again, I have a whole documentary series filming why kelp beds are so important, but just look at the amount of them. Not only do kelps protect the shore, but they also provide a surface for things to settle and live on, and things can live their entire lives just on the surface of a bit of kelp. Look how much seaweed and different life will grow on just each individual kelp organism. It's incredible amount of life, and their holdfasts are incredibly complex and provide loads of nooks and crannies for loads of life and species to live on. And I just cannot get over how much just lives on one species, including these absolutely gorgeous little blue-eyed limpets that live their lives just feeding on what you find on kelp fronds. Just look how many there are. I can't imagine how much life lives just on these kelps amplified. It's unimaginable. So far we've managed to explore like this little bit and like a bit over there, but like just imagine how much life we found in this little section and just amplify that across. Look, the literally thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands if we go like subtidally, of individuals of kelps that are here on just one beach, and there's tons of kelp beds in the UK. It's a fantastic kelp country. If that makes sense. We have a lot of kelps. I think we have the world's largest and diverse range of kelp. Not the largest kelp in terms of size, I mean the largest amount of kelp in terms of species diversity. Isn't this fantastic? I'm so glad I can share it with you all. blob of a creature is actually a sea squirt, and you can tell that because it has these two kind of openings on it, and they are called siphons. And the reason they're called sea squirt is because when you push down on them, they always seem to squirt you. But not all sea squirts are like that. This is actually a colonial type of sea squirt that lives together, and that is definitely a lot different looking to just the individual sea squirts, and so is that grey thing too. Now, I absolutely love a bit of personification of species, and as you went out to sea, there was this, two rocks and this stream of water going through these two rocks from, the rocky shore right out to the kelp beds, and it just constantly had so many species of shrimp and so many shrimp individuals just streaming through it. It was like a motorway of shrimp, and I loved watching it. And what was great about this low tide is there seemed to be a lot of different species of shrimp that I haven't seen before, including this absolutely gorgeous species. Now, I'm not actually entirely sure what this specific species is, but it's kind of opened a door of realising that there are tons of different types of prawns and shrimps on the rocky shore. Usually it's, the common shrimp, the brown shrimp. There's only 2 or 3 that are mentioned, but looking them up, there is actually loads more, from things that are like chameleon prawns to different prawns that maybe you only find in certain places in the UK. It's really interesting to read up on, and I will let you know as soon as I've kind of worked out exactly what this is a bit more, but it's somewhere I'm just going to have to research more. And how exciting is that? Like a new thing to learn about. From red stripy shrimp to red seaweeds, on the lower shore, this is where you're going to find the most red seaweeds, and that's because these don't like to dry out at all, but they're incredible. And red seaweeds are actually the most diverse group of seaweeds in the sea. You'll find, the most species of them, and they are just so different in shape and size and are amazing. And there's lots of things that grow on red seaweeds as well, so like getting a closer look at each individual type of red seaweed, you'll see these gorgeous little creatures living on them too, which just adds for different levels and layers of excitement when you're rock pooling. I love that you can look at this big massive shore but be drawn into this tiny little section of a frond on a bit of seaweed. And this bit of seaweed here has been nibbled at a lot by something that's eaten it, and I couldn't quite see what had eaten it there. But diversity in seaweeds is really lovely to watch and to see the different shapes, the different sizes, the different textures. It just makes for a really interesting trip, and red is such a gorgeous colour as well that it's a real treat to be able to see and experience these gorgeous seaweeds at a low tide. Oh my goodness, found this little weed decorator crab that was trying to get out to sea or just holding onto a seaweed for dear life. To see, look at today, it's so flat calm, but even then the tide and the waves have such an effect on such tiny little invertebrates, and it's interesting to see in its natural kind of habitat, because in a rock pool it's all still, there's no currents, it's calm, makes filming amazing, which is the reason why it's actually quite difficult to film in here. And but just to see that even walking in such calm seas is a struggle, and just how much these species have to deal with when, my goodness, when 99% of the time it is rougher than this. These eyes that are looking deep into your soul are the eyes of a common blenny or shanny, whichever name you want to call it. uncharacteristically chilled squat lobster. He even gave me a little high five. Hey. I mean, it's so beautiful here today. It physically hurts with loveliness. My goodness. Wonderful. At Lower Shore, you're also going to find your more common things like your lovely edible crabs. Crabs do tend to be larger at Lower Shore as well. You find nice large crabs. Things like sponges and scale worms. And I've also found a lot of lobsters at Lower Shore. You can find them throughout the rest of the shore too, but they just seem to be, they dominate a lot more at the Lower Shore. There must just be a lot more food for you. Watching this and you're interested at rock pooling at low tide, there is a wave interrupting me apparently. Are you quite done? See, I'm busy talking and you're making a lot of noise. It was just trying to join in on the video. If you're looking coming rock pooling at low tide, I would say that compared to the other zones, and you'll see this as we go, it's harder to see creatures here and it's harder to film them, but what you might find is a bit like a potluck of amazingness. So you'll find a bigger fish. I mean, we've not been lucky yet, but things like nudibranchs and octopuses and lobsters are all down here. There's been so many squat lobsters, so many like decorated crabs, such a diversity of different shrimps, but I've seen more than I've been able to film because it is connected to the sea, and because of that it's a lot easier for it to disappear, and the water is less clear because there's more agitation. It's agitating up the surface in the sand, and it's difficult to film because it looks cloudy. Whereas in a rock pool, the conditions are much more controlled and you can see a lot more stuff. So I would recommend, say you're a family and you're just looking for some fun rock pooling, then sticking to the mid and upper shores are gonna mean that you're gonna see a lot more and get to kind of interact with species a lot more. But if you are in it for the hardcore rock pooling, you want to find the interesting stuff, you want to see the differences, you want to basically see the species that you would only see diving or snorkeling, then it's totally worth taking the time to come down to Lower Shore. But you just have to bear in mind, some days it will be clear and calm and you will see loads, and other days you might not see a lot, or you might just see a lot of darting things. But their hope is that one day you're gonna find that octopus, and I bet it's Lower Shore one day. Speaking of potluck, here's a normal starfish, and here's one I just found. What? So I've just found something I never ever expected to find. A completely bright purple starfish. I don't know if it's like a weird version of a normal starfish or a completely different species. This is actually a completely different species of starfish called a blood Henry starfish, and it's one that's really only found subtidally, so thanks to this amazing tide for revealing it. And how great! I didn't even know you could get bright purple starfish in the UK. It looks just like Patrick from SpongeBob. That looks like something that belongs in the tropics. How incredible! See, you shouldn't underestimate UK rocky shores. They're just as colourful and just as wonderful, and far, far more unexpected. I mean, it's gorgeous, but like, whoa! This is a really awesome white tortoiseshell limpet, a rarer find on the rocky shore. And usually I don't advocate for holding fish whatsoever. I think it stresses them out and it's, you know, it takes away from the enjoyment of actually just watching it. However, I lifted up a rock and these are butterfish and they usually freak out and flip everywhere, and he just flipped into my hand. So I just took the opportunity to get a quick proper video of him, because it's really difficult to video this species because they usually just slither away. So yeah, I broke that rule on this exception as he jumped into my hand. It was quite a surprise. Still no octopuses, didn't find a lobster, and we got no nudibranch, but they are species you can all find at the lower shore. You can probably find them on other places of the beach as well, but you are most likely to find those type of bigger, I suppose in the case of nudibranch, rarer species on the lower shore where they dry out a lot less. But I think the only way that we're going to make sure that we get another video of those species, or in the case of an octopus, find one, is to do a dance. So my challenge to you is to please do a let's go with octopus and nudibranch dance, because I feel like they're going to be very different. The octopus, definitely a lot of arms, so come up with an army dance. An army dance? You know, like, not like army as in like military, but like army dance to the octopuses. And the nudibranch dance I definitely feel like is a more whole body like kind of movement maybe. And fingers crossed we will keep finding them in upcoming rockpooling vlogs. So again, make sure to subscribe and keep up to date with the adventure of trying to find more nudibranchs, trying to find an octopus for the very first time in the wild. Well, okie dokie, that is the lower shore explored for today. I hope you found it interesting. I mean, we have found some really cool stuff, and just lots of diversity. We found like blennies or shannies, depending on what you want to call them, and different colourful shrimp, a purple starfish, normal starfish, worms, encrusting worms, loads of seaweeds, reds and kelp, and blue-rayed limpets and tortoise-shelled limpets, and there's normal limpets around, but I don't know if I filmed them. And what else? Oh my goodness. Tons and tons of squat lobsters, edible crabs, decorator crabs. I mean, there's so much down here, and bearing in mind this is the part of the shore that you have the least time to explore because it's exposed for the least amount of time. But we found so much life in a relatively small space in such a quick time is incredible. I would say that I saw more life than I managed to film, which I said earlier, so make sure to tune in to tomorrow's video, which will air at the same time at 6 o'clock, and I'll be on Premiere to answer your questions as you watch the video. And yeah, tune in tomorrow as we're going to be exploring the next section of the shore, the mid-shore, and I will show you what you will find there. And the mid-shore is basically, so while I've been exploring the lower shore, this whole bit has still been exposed, and it's the middle part, the part where it's exposed for a decent length of time, but it's also covered up for a decent length of time. And the following day we'll talk about the upper shore, which is the part that is exposed most of the time. And the species up there tend to get a bit weirder and still really cool because they have to deal with, you know, the most air time and sun time and all of that different stuff. So I will catch you tomorrow for another video. Bye everyone!